I'm gonna show you one of my favorite programs that does that photorealistic aspect. It's between us. Don't tell it to anybody. You know, we want to create good images, but we don't want to overfloat our market with people trying to replicate what we do. So this is a very secret thing I'm gonna show you right now. Looks Builder. It's a program that meant to do sort of filmic look. So I'm gonna open and where is it? This one, I think. Yep, I'm gonna open this one. So this is the image that I did. Yep. I'll go through that. Okay, let's just do. Let's just check out that image that I did, and then we'll go to and see that. All right. So this is my image. This is how it looks like in Photoshop. I think I'm pretty sure I gave this file to download. Okay, so I'm gonna hide everything, and this is how it looks. It doesn't look really bad. I did like basic color correction for this image. Let me open the source. Here what it was look like. As you see here, everything looks very uniformly. Wait, I don't think it's the image. I think it's the number 2. Right, it's the number 2. So this one. Okay, so as you see here, we got one uniform color for the whole image. The render's pretty clean, but we have one color balance for all image. The image looks a little bit flat, so what I did is I did a little bit curves just to enhance the illumination, like that. I did fix my color balance. As always, midtones, yellowish, reddish, and high tones, bluish and cyan, and voila, I got really nice sky illumination, you know, or bluish color. So this was before kind of flat look, and this is how it looks now. I got this nice bluish illumination coming from the sky. So this is what we get most of the time in real photography. If you set up your white balance correctly, you will get nice secondary bouncing coming from the sky and producing this bluish illumination on your white walls. Okay, so you won't get basically those. If you get image like this and you're doing photography, it means that you didn't do your white balance correctly. Okay, so something like this will work way better for your image. This is what I did. Basically the same. Maybe here I did a little bit more of a bluish effect, but this is what I got. This sort of nice looking image. Basic color correction. I did a little bit more curves, and maybe I fixed exposure, added a little bit contrast, but it's a basic work. A good starting point for building your passes. And then I just started to drag passes, wideband 1, diffuse pass, you know, and I was looking what I can improve with every pass that I was adding. I was looking what could improve. So diffuse pass I used on the color brown, and I didn't use it on 100% because this is what I got basically, and then I used it on 20%, so I got more black reflections to my image. Then I used global illumination. Global illumination pass is most of the time like ambient occlusion pass, or something that should bring more lighting, more accurate soft shadows to your image. So this is how it looks like when it's on. You can see those accurate shadows. you can isolate them by using a screen mode, but then your image looks very, very bright. So sometimes this is the correct way to use it, but we don't really use the the correct linear workspace. So in our case, to use this pass, I'm using it on the screen mode, and I give it 50%, not 100%. So we're not using correct linear workflow, so we have the ability to work and play with our passes as much as we want. We don't have to be correct with everything with those calculations. There is a method to combine all passes, but this method only works when you render with linear. When you render with exponential, it will not work properly. There is sort of calculations, and there is sort of ways to combine passes, and this is the only way that you can do it. But this works only for linear, not for exponential. So our way is very artistic way to do that. Okay. So the global illumination I used on the screen mode in order to remove those blacks, and I put it like on the 50% right there. Then I added a lighting pass, and as you see here, lighting pass also got blacks right there. So in order to remove blacks, you put it on the screen mode, and this is what you get. You get really nice shadows here coming from our lamps. But this one as well was a little bit too much, so what I did is I've used this only 27% to give a little bit of a shadow right there, not too much. Okay. You can always increase, decrease it. I start to work and build my image, like kind of without too much of exaggeration. And if I need to edit, I can always edit at the end. You can always increase your opacity and add more of this shadow or reflection or whatever you're using. But try to build your image without giving too much, without getting too exaggerated colors and stuff like that. Okay, then was raw global illumination pass. As I told you, global illumination pass works the same as ambient occlusion pass, more or less. Let's see the ambient occlusion pass. This is my ambient occlusion pass. This is how it looks like. It's a little bit too grainy. Probably would render it with higher resolution, but I needed to have a quick solution for showing you this now. So those passes that have white illuminations here can work with multiply. So this is how you remove those whites. Right, I put it on the multiply mode and I remove those whites. Of course, you need to reduce the opacity later, but this is how you work them. So I'm gonna go back to my previous stage. Right there, raw global illumination with 80% and multiply like that. So if you want to isolate, if you want to remove all the blacks from your image, you use screen mode right there. If you want to remove whites, you use multiply. As simple as that. They work on the same with the same principle. They're just removing this color. So multiplying will remove whites and screen will remove blacks. Okay. The next pass that I added was raw lighting. As you see here, I get more lighting to my image. Also with opacity, and if I go to the normal, we can see that I still have whites here, but I have more blacks than whites. So for that matter, I used it on the multiply mode, and as you see here, I get really nice sharp shadows. I didn't want to do it, so I removed it to about 24%. Here's another cool thing that you can do with this pass. I do it sometimes. If I get really sharp shadows, just remember that. You have shadows and you have lighting, all those passes that refers, and you can see sharp shadows. What you can do is you can go to the blur and you can blur those shadows. Oops, let's do the Gaussian blur. All right, so you see you can blur those shadows. Well, maybe it's not too much, but something like this, about 1, you can see how soft it becomes here and there and here also. So yep, something like that would work really good. So always remember, you can always blur your shadows. The next pass that I added was reflection, raw reflection. I used the basic reflection because raw reflection is very strong one. So as you see, I used it only at 8% of opacity. This is how it looks like. As you see here, really strong reflections. So in order to remove the blacks here, you use the screen mode, as we talked about. You can also try different other modes like light color. Also can remove the blacks and leave only the reflection in necessary places, in wanted places that you want. So something like that would even work better for your image if you're working with reflections. I didn't want to get too much of reflection here on my pillows and stuff like that, so I used it on the screen mode and like just gave it a little bit, you know, just something like makes it, because it works really strong, and this is why it's not advisable to use it more than like 20 between 10 and 20%, something like that. Raw refraction is the next pass that I added. Let me show you that pass. This is only the things that you see through your windows, through your glass. So if you have different glass objects, you will get this pass right there. Well, as you know, in order to remove the blacks, I need to put it on the screen mode like this, and then I get really nice refracted glass in my image. So not much for this pass. You can work it with 100%. So this is how it looks like without it. And when I add this pass, I just put all the reflections back to their place. Refractions. Okay. The next one is raw shadows. Let's see that pass. Is raw shadows? Who's everybody's online? Okay, good. This you can see got also black, so you can use it on multiply mode. But if you use it on multiply mode, it can actually cancel your shadows. So I used it on the soft light mode, and I got like really nice contrasted colors to my image. So I liked it pretty much. So this is what I did. I used it with 20%, 21% of opacity, and I think I used the soft light mode. So I got really nice contrasted shadows. I brought them back to my image. The next one is total lighting. Let's see that pass. This pass, as you see here, also can work on the multiply mode, but sometimes if it's too much of soft shadows, because we're getting global illumination, raw GI, and then we had also ambient occlusion. So this pass you can basically work with color burn, right? And there, color burn, and there's you can also try different passes for this, you know, different modes for this for the usage. You might find overlay also can work good. You see here it brings more of a shadows here, more of expressions, brings more contrast, more light to your image. So overlay, color dodge, those can work really good for this. Those modes can work really good for this pass. Well, yeah, I used actually as a soft light mode, right? overlay. You see that? Screen. Soft light, yeah. Color burn, yeah. Color burn 20%. This is how I used it. You can use it with overlay, or try an experiment. Maybe you might find different. This is all about improving your image, adding more stuff to your image, adding more realistic reflections, refractions. If it adds and it works good, it's totally fine. You can use it. Okay. Now the next pass was reflection. Basic reflection, not raw, normal, standard reflection pass. And well, let me show it to you. It looks like disable layer mask. It looks like this. So as you see here, really nice reflections only in the places where I need to have them, and it works really good. So you can use this pass as lighten, and as you see here, it brings all the reflections really well. You can reduce a little bit of opacity, but this pass comes with filter. So let me just open those two passes like this. So this pass comes with filter. So I can select, this is the filter. So I can say Control A, Control C, select all, copy, and then to do image, layer mask, reveal all, and then I go to the channels. I unhide the channel, select the channel, the layer mask that created, I press Control V, paste, and I paste it, and I use this filter as a mask in order to isolate my reflections. So I'll press Control D. As you see here, it's red, so I need to go back to my layers and unhide it, and then I have it. I have only reflection in this pass. So here we go, I have only reflections. Okay, I'm going to delete it because I did pretty much the same with this pass. I'm gonna enable my layer mask. So this is how it works. Same thing goes to the next path that is called refraction. The refraction for your glass have also a filter, so you can do Control A, Control C, image, layer, reveal all, go to the channel, unhide it, Control V, paste it, and then you can isolate your Control D, you can isolate your refractions, all your glass stuff, so you can like put it there. You can use screen mode also to isolate it. Sometimes screen mode can produce weird results. So as you see here, it's a little bit weird, but here it is. So disable, enable, this is how it looks like. So I like to use it in normal mode, 100% opacity, and to use the refraction filter. This is how I use this pass. So those passes, refraction and refraction, work really nice with the filters that they come in with. Okay, the next one is shadows. I use this pass on the difference and only 10%. Let me show you how it looks like. This pass, shadows, basically you can fix your shadows. If your shadow's too dark, you can use this pass in order to fix your shadows. So as you see here, if your shadow's too dark, you just go and you fix them with this pass. Kind of bring more illumination and fix all those dark areas if it's a little bit too much. With the screen mode, you can also use light overlay. No, not the light overlay. You can use the difference. I use it on the difference, hue, color, luminosity. I use it on the difference to give nice bluish illumination to my image, something like that. So this is what I did. The next one, specular. Specular pass is make those scatter. Well, you cannot really see that, but it makes nice little scattered reflections of your image. So if you just look at this area right there, I'll hide it, and I'll hide it. Also here on the wood, it gives a little bit more of really nice and soft light illumination, scatter reflection. So I like this pass. If you work with leather or wood, this pass goes and makes really nice blurry reflections and brings more of a natural feeling to your materials. The next one is total lighting. This pass I used on the screen mode. This looks like this, screen mode, you know, isolating the blacks. So I'll remove the blacks, and I reduced its opacity about something 20, something like this. And the last one was the multiply, the ambient occlusion pass. I rendered it separately. There is a nice plugin that you can use in order to render this ambient occlusion. Lele is the guy who did it. Well, we can see. Well, we can go to my tutorial here and YouTube. Well, you find only my stuff here about this plugin. I've uploaded. Let's see, V-Ray guide. Here it is, ambient occlusion the easy way, and you can have here the link to download this. It's free. You just drag and drop it, and you'll have it in your 3D Max, and you'll be able to download this. Well, tell you the truth, I prefer to do the ambient occlusion with Mental Ray. Yeah, I mean, I use this plugin only to get to have like really quick solution, but I prefer, tell you the truth, I prefer ambient occlusion of Mental Ray because it's more accurate and it produces really nice reflection, really nice soft shadows, and really good quality of it. Renders longer. This I was able to render like in 2-3 minutes, you know. So this is why I did it, you know. If it's a quick solution, if it's a quick job, you need to deliver. Don't waste your time, you know, on getting stuff that might affect your project. But if you're doing stuff like this, like here, we're doing stuff for our portfolio, and you know, those images will stay with us forever and represent our face in the internet and stuff like that, you want to invest in this. This is like the most important thing. Your portfolio is you, basically, you know. So yeah, definitely would recommend you to do ambient occlusion with Mental Ray if you can. If you cannot, use this quick and simple plugin to render your ambient occlusion just in a couple of minutes of work. As you see here, it's not high quality. I need to improve the quality. I need to go higher with it, but it was a quick solution that provided really nice results. So after getting this, what I most of the time do, I put it on the multiply mode in order to remove those whites, and then I go to color balance and I try to work this. As you see how it works, I try to work this out, and if you pay attention on those areas right here, as you see how the color changes. So this is how I work it. I just add a little bit more of a yellowish, and a little bit more of a reddish, just to get those gray gray soft shadows, to give them a little bit more color to fit better my image. So something like this could work really nice for this matter. Okay, and after I did that, after I matched the color, I just reduce its opacity. I don't, most of the time, don't go beyond 50%, because then you get like really exaggerated soft shadows and it doesn't look natural. So in my case, I did around 30%, 25, 20, 30%. That work really fine with the image. And this is what I got. This was the final result. I have this file for you available for download. You can download it and check it out. Sure, Israel, we'll do your renders. Don't worry, man. Let me just finish this topic. Okay, so go ahead, check it out in the platform V-Ray Portfolio section. On the 4th module, you'll be able to find this this file. Also, I post the link on the forum for downloading it and checking it out. Okay, so one more time, this was the image, and this is like after improvement. I added a lot of stuff. If you want, you can always duplicate your image. Gonna bring it. This is what I do in the most cases. I bring it to the top, and then I see what worked better, what not, and I might even sometimes add the final image, the base rail render, about 30-50%, just to smooth that out, so it will look good. All right, just to see the improvement. This is how it is. Okay, I'm not gonna save it, and after I did it, I'm saving it as a TIFF file, and then I'm bringing this image to this Lux Builder, a really nice program. So if we go here, let me just move this right there. If we go, we have different pre-made modes that we can select. This is from the Lux Builder. They did it already. Warm look, yeah, looks pretty good. Different filmic looks. AG, this is sort of chroma key. Post-processing, pink spot. They did different variations from you to choose, black and white. And you also can see down, you can see what they used. So this is very good for seeing, for testing and seeing how those guys did those different illuminations. Okay, so you can go and check those presets, those preset out. This looks nice. This is color processing. I like that effect a lot. Maybe a little bit too much of curves, so we lost shadows. You can always go back and sort of change it just to bring it back. Something like this would work better. All right, so you can see also how they did it here. You can see what they applied, and this is the view. So you can build the chain view or the simple view and check it out how it works. Okay, I'm going to delete all of those guys here, and I'm going to go back to my image and bring my image to the photorealistic group. Look, so what I do first is I put crushes. The first is, well, the first, maybe if you want to do this just to check the exposure, to fix the exposure. If you want to fix your exposure, if it's a little bit too dark, you can always fix it and bring it up. Something like this could work really fine. The second thing is what I do is I put crushes. I put one crush with yellowish mode, something like this, not too much, not to make it too saturated, and I put another crush on the black, on the blues, so something like this will give more natural look to my image. So try to work it out just to get it really nice and well bluish sort of illumination to your image. Something like this could work fine. So I do 2 crushes in order to have it without with. Second thing that I do is I go and I start to add different lens distortions, like chromatic aberration. With chromatic aberration, you always need to go back and forth in order to see how it works. You see how nicely it's been added. Here's a little bit of a greenish color shift, and here's a little bit of a bluish color shift, and this works really nice for this image. Okay, always by adding chromatic aberration, like this is too much, right? And this is also too much. I see a lot of people doing something like this. They think it looks cool, but not. This is also too much. I see it. The chromatic aberration meant only for the feeling, not for the look. So as you see here, I got really nice. Maybe there's a little bit too much. So something like this. Really nice and soft and gentle color shift in my image. Okay. So something about it would work really cool. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Now the next one is what I'm adding is edge softness. This is a really nice one. So something like this. You can also increase its blurriness, and if you increase quality, it reduces the blurriness. So something like this could work and add more realistic look to your image. The next thing that I do is I'm adding a vignetting, this lens distortion, something like this. Okay, you can also work it, the exposure control, if you want, the strength, how strong you want it. So something like this would work really nice. All right. The next one is a fill grain, just to have a little bit of a fill grain, but also remember that we want to keep our image clean. So by adding film grain, I'm not really adding it too much. Most of the time I use 2, but if you start to see that it's getting too grainy, don't do that. Reduce it to 1. It doesn't worth spoiling your clean render, your rendering time that you work so hard to get. So about 1 amount of 1 can work really good. You can also work different channels for your blur softness, and for your grains you can work your grain with different shadows here and highlights threshold, so you can work all your grain like really good and match it to match it really nicely to your image. Okay. The next thing that you can do, it's mostly the last thing that I do. I don't do more than that. I can also add saturation, change the colors, but I don't like, excuse me, I don't like to add too much of effects here, because the thing is to bring your image to the photorealistic level and not to overdo it. So I add curves on the post here. Oh, I can delete it, I'll show it to you. I add it here. So you have your it's a sort of, you have your camera, so you can add it to your different camera lens. You have this guy here, and you have the post. So this is the subject, the camera. You have here the matte. You have here this is the lens, and this is the camera. So you can add different effects to different parts of your image. And the last one is curves. I like this curve especially because this one gives me like really nice control over everything in my image. So I just go and I move up and down those dots just to get the right exposure for my image. Something like this. So as you see here, I fixed perfectly. I fixed my my image, and it looks pretty good. If you get too saturated colors, what you can do is you can add saturation to your production, and you can reduce it right here. You can reduce it a little bit around, something like this, so you can see it will give more natural color to your wood, and it will not be that saturated. All right, so this is looks. This is what you add right here. This is what you add to your image. Exposure, if you need to fix it. Chromatic aberration, really nice color shifting. Soft edges will give you a little bit of a filmic look, and lens distortion will give those nice soft edges. It's not all the time works. It doesn't work for all the images. You need to see where to add it and where not, but I like this actually a lot because it gives this nice depth of field to your image and concentrate your eye on more on the image itself. The next one is vignetting, also lens distortion right there. As you know, I start from putting two crashes, one yellowish, one reddish, so I get this nice sort of color processing, natural color effect. Film grain, just to add a little bit here, we can see it in the corners. We can see the film grain appears at the dark areas. Where there's more light, we apparently don't see it much, but in the corners it gives really nice feel of the photographic of the photograph. Okay, and of course curves. Curves is one. I like these curves a lot because this one is something that really controls all your image aspects regarding the shadows and illuminations. And it works really good just to bring the exact exposure for every part of your image. Okay, and if your shadows too saturated, like this one, you can see it's too yellowish, you can put the saturation and reduce it a little bit just to have a really nice natural colors to your image. Yeah, I agree with you, team. This is the program to do your photorealistic, to bring your photorealistic aspects. So after you did it, what you need to do, you can save the looks, you can save this panel, and if you did like a series of images, you can always load it and use it. And I advise you to use TIFF or JPEG. I think it will be TIFF. So you can, let's save it 111. And the last thing is what you want to do when you did this. You want to add sharpen in Photoshop, like there, boom, and that's it. Control Shift F, if it's a little bit too sharp, you just reduce it a little bit. So as you see here, we got a little bit blurry stuff going on, but when we add sharpness, our image gets really, really nice and sharp and photorealistic look. Okay, and this is it. This is how you bring photorealistic aspects to your image. There's a lot of different other plugins I showed you last time, but this plugin works really, really good with all the everything I have to do with photographic or filmic look. Just don't forget at the end to add sharpen, and render your passes, render ambient occlusion pass, because this is one of the most important passes that gives this nice soft shadows at the corners. And the combination of everything I showed you today is going to bring your images to the next level.